Hello, welcome to Insight. A Petroleum Road Map code called 7 Big Wins has been introduced by Nigeria's Ministry of Petroleum. The road is expected to grow Nigeria's oil and gas industry on or before 2019. We are set to review how 7 Big Wins can achieve that. I am EBERE AJAGUN. Do stay tuned for details. The Petroleum Road Map, tagged 7 Big Wins, is a medium-term plan to grow Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The plan focuses on some key areas like development and security of the oil-producing region, policy and regulation, business environment and investment drive, transparency and efficiency. Other areas of concentration are stakeholder management and international coordination, gas revolution, refineries and local oil production capacity. The Petroleum Road Map also seeks to review old and moribund policies and laws which have been regulated by obsolete policies over the years. Unveiling the document in Abuja, the president noted that the oil and gas sector is still a critical revenue point for the country despite the drastic dip in global crude oil prices at the international market.
This roadmap reflects vision and the aspiration of this administration for this sector, and urge you all to deliver on the expectations contained in the petroleum industry roadmap.
President Buhari said the task before the Ministry of Petroleum Resources was to maximize the potential and opportunities across the whole range of the oil and gas industry to stimulate the economy in spite of global cut in oil price. The president noted that recent development in the Niger Delta had temporarily limited the nation's oil and gas production and supplies. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Ibe is of the view that the challenges facing oil production in Nigeria will be resolved with active stakeholders' participation.
The question is, what suddenly happened to our national mojo? I ask all of you to look to the future with confidence that we can meet these aspirations and surmount this great test of time. I ask you to join hands with all of us at the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and all our 8 parastatals, NNPC, DPR, NCDMB, PPPRA, PEF, PTDF, PI, PTI, and NNRA in eliminating delays, bureaucracy, individual discretionary excesses, and lack of transparency to build a work environment where the Nigerian and the private sector is the king and a key and respected partner, where all employees have a responsibility to assist businesses operate profitably and efficiently. And we're also aware that we cannot successfully drive this roadmap without the support, first of our oil industry partners, our National Assembly brothers, and all our private sector players.
The minister foresees an explosion of investment in the sector soon, as there are plans by the government to secure oil and gas installations in the country to conform to standard practices in other oil and gas producing countries. In the midst of the things we wish to change, Dr. Kachiku says he will ensure reduction of importation of petroleum products by 60% in 2018, and by 2019 that Nigeria will become a net exporter of petroleum products and value-added petrochemicals.
Our target must be to have an incident reduction by 90% by 2018, and to target a zero militancy position and shutdown beginning middle of next year. Which means that whatever shutdowns occur by middle of next year, we expect should be related to production slippages and not by militancy issue. We must resolve current militancy problems and bring back production to 2.2 million barrels. We're currently at about 1.8. Shell's Focados is coming on stream soon. We expect that should take us to 2 million. We would like to begin the year 2000 once ExxonMobil brings back their production facilities to the 2.2 million barrels. But the reality is that 2.2 million barrels does not represent at all the capacity of this nation. We have the capacity to increase production by 3 million barrels, and the project has been funded. We're working very collaboratively with the oil sector players to begin to find a solution to our cash crop problems. And the President and I are working on this very, very progressively. We need to create stability incentive schemes, jobs, investments, contracting opportunities for the Niger Delta zone. We need to look at using marginal fuels as an incentive for state governments to begin to look at developing in these areas. And we need to set up a robust security apparatus involving both the oil companies and the security agencies to ensure that there's stability in this region. And I must stop here to praise the serious efforts that the members of the security apparatus have made over the last few months.
These noble objectives may not be easy to achieve, but the minister promised an aggressive revamping of existing local refining capacity through co-location, greenfield and modular refineries in achieving that.
But above all, transparency and efficiency is key. And you know the President's mantra in this is zero tolerance for fraud. And we must make sure that the trust deficit that was absolutely annihilated over the last years is brought back to sanity. We have to install transparent, fast and efficient processes in the oil and gas industry. And we have to provide investors and government with fiscal clarity and a great balance objective between risk and reward. We're introducing a joint accounting with oil companies so that everybody understands the monies that come into this terrain and how it works. Stakeholder management is also a key area. We're going to be working on all those and trying to improve communications and coordination structures across the agencies and departments of Ministry of Petroleum. Creating a new oil and gas economy is not just a challenge to meet, it is indeed an opportunity to seize. It will include creating new businesses, new income streams, millions of new well-paying jobs. For a country that has lost so much in recent years, it is an opportunity to rebuild, retool, revive our oil and gas industry and the nation as a whole. Already we have signed MOUs with worth close to $80 billion with China. We are in the process of finalizing about $15 billion worth of MOU with India. There will be a Gulf roadshow sometime in January and an American roadshow by the middle of next year. So we are beginning to open up our frontiers to solid specters of investment to be able to finance infrastructure.
While the benefits of the roadmap are being highlighted, an expert in the oil and gas sector, Mr. Babatunde Koki, commends 7 big wins. Mr. Koki is of the view that the implementation of the 7 big wins would increase government streams of income and ensure a zero tolerance to militancy in the Niger Delta.
The first thing it will do, basically, is that it will give an umbrella attention to the Niger Delta, as well as security. Only recently, Nigerians are aware that the militants messed up another pipeline, which is an unfortunate experience for the country. So the 7 big win actually wants to give attention to Niger Delta and security. That's the umbrella idea, as said by the Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. EBERE. Having said that, there are other things which of course has to do with the production of crude oil. Initially, we used to have 2.8 million barrels per day. The bombings caused it to go down half that barrel to 1.4. The 7 Big Win initiative is also intended to allow for massive infrastructure overhaul that will enable either the moribund infrastructure or the ones that are in dire need of revamping to actually be given the attention, so as to shore up the production of crude oil to 2.8 that it was per day before, and hopefully to 3 million barrels per day. So that would be the core of the 7 Big Win, among other things.
Babatunde Koki again speaks on how Nigerians can benefit from the 7 big wins if properly put in place.
But other things that are very, very important will be how this will particularly benefit Nigerians. You see, the Niger Delta has been a place where all 28, and I can tell you that we have, if not the poorest, some of the poorest human beings in the country reside in that creeks. So if for over 40, 50 years, 60 years even, about 60 years now, over 60 years, the federal government has not placed premium on the lives of those who live in that region. No matter how the federal government wants to say it is giving something to the people, it is, it doesn't need any gainsaying that the federal government has actually not done enough, and that is why the kinds of insurgency we've seen in recent times sprung up, because people felt very disgruntled. So basically, as much as some optimists would like me to say things will work, I am a very optimistic person, but I'm also a very realistic person. The government has not demonstrated that it could be relied upon. In terms of worker salary, even at the state level, how much of integrity does the government have in respect of giving people what belongs to them, let alone this initiative called 7 Big Win? So it's a whole lot. I think the masses may suffer more because when your strategy doesn't in the first place take cognizance of the need of the people, you really can't claim that you have their interest at heart. And one of that is the Petroleum Industry Bill that even up till this moment has not been signed to law. I think strongly that those who are the senators or lawmakers also are part of this 7 Big Win of the government, because certain paperwork will go through them.
From an average price of about $100 and above per barrel 2 years ago, the price of crude oil has dropped to below $40, throwing Nigeria's economy into a downward path. With an ambitious budget of 6.06 trillion naira announced in 2015, the massive drop in oil earnings has left government scrambling to finance approved appropriations. The situation became so bad that the government even proposed selling off some national assets to raise funds to finance its business amid stiff oppositions by Nigerians. The situation worsened with a new wave of sabotage of oil production facilities following a series of attacks by armed militant groups in the Niger Delta region led by the Niger Delta Avengers. All these challenges are expected to be tackled by the Petroleum Road Map called 7 Big Wins. On the other hand, Nigerians seemed to be interested on a plan that can review old and moribund policies on the oil and gas industry, which regulated by obsolete policies over the year. The 7 Big Wins already has that as its main priority, but how it plays out matters. That's it on today's edition of Insight, which focused on the Petroleum Road Map tagged 7 Big Wins. Today's edition of Insight was produced by MABEL KANU. I am EBERE AJAGUN.